Hola, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Welcome inside the Armed American Radio studios with me today. We are 48 hours away from the state of Virginia being completely Californicated when it comes to gun rights. Our constitutional rights and freedoms are being trampled. Tyranny is well underway in Virginia. I wanted to put this brief video together for you today to give you a rundown of where we are. If you live in the state, you understand what's happening. Maybe you don't. If you don't, I don't know why. But here are the current 12 bills that the Democrats have just passed as Reason.com points out, to trample your gun rights in the state of Virginia. On the governor's desk currently, guys, we're 48 hours away from this, folks. There's two more days left. We don't know in the next 2 hours or next 2 days what else we're going to see here, but it isn't going to be pretty. Number one is an imposition of civil liability on the firearms industry. This is Senate Bill 27, and what it does is it allows anyone who has been injured as a result of the firearms industry not imposing reasonable controls on the sale of firearms to sue gun manufacturers. It allows anybody to sue gun manufacturers as a result of firearms industry not imposing reasonable controls. What are reasonable controls? The state is defining reasonable controls as procedures that prevent the sale of firearms to people whom the firearm industry has reasonable cause to believe is at substantial risk of using a firearm to harm themselves or unlawfully harm another. Nothing could go wrong there, right? Number two, red flag laws expanded. House Bill 901 is expanding red flag laws by permitting immediate family members, intimate partners, including individuals who within the previous 12 months was in a romantic, dating, or sexual relationship with the person, school administrators, and licensed medical professionals, among others, to petition a judge for an emergency substantial risk order to prohibit. The person could be you if you live there, subject to from purchasing, possessing, or transporting a firearm for the duration of the order. What could possibly go wrong? Prohibition on plastic firearms, number three. House Bill 40, a solution searching for a problem, I guess, would outlaw the knowing manufacture, transfer, and possession of any plastic firearm. This is designed with the quote-unquote fake ghost gun terms in mind. The motivation for the legislation is, in fact, cracking down, which you love that, cracking down on untraceable 3D printed ghost guns. So Virginians, well, there go your ghost guns. That means your privately built firearms, ladies and gentlemen, which you've had a right to do since the founding of the nation. Number four, gun buyback programs are being mandated, hear me. House Bill 702 is requiring that each county or city law enforcement agency develop policies and procedures to implement either a firearm give-back program or a firearm buyback program by January 1, 2028. How can you possibly give back or sell something back to someone who never owned it in the first place? Great state of Virginia. Democrats in full gear here, ladies and gentlemen. They're wearing their armor. Number five, firearms prohibited in all public buildings in the state of Virginia. Senate Bill 272 is banning you, if you live in Virginia, from carrying any firearm in any building owned or leased by the Commonwealth, such as the UVA, Virginia Capitol Building. Keep in mind, it's the Capitol Building where Virginia Citizens Defense League had 1,000 people show up armed with no incidents. Let's not forget also on Capitol grounds, over 50,000 people showed up a few years ago with no incidents. Democrats in action, folks. Elections have consequences. Number six, no firearms allowed in mental health hospitals. This is Senate Bill 173, which forbids the possession of a weapon in hospitals that render mental health or developmental services, and it would apply to 1/3 of the more than 150 Virginia inpatient hospitals, including the state's 43 private psychiatric hospitals and the 9 behavioral health facilities. Number seven, firearms prohibited near polling places, folks. House Bill 909 is outlawing carrying firearms within 100 feet of a polling place while the polls are open and ballots are being counted, and within 1 hour of opening or closing. The bill also outlaws carrying firearms within 100 feet of any building used as the principal office of the general registrar, an additional registration site, a meeting place for the local electoral board, a meeting place for the state board to ascertain the results of an election, or a central absentee precinct. And folks, it makes no mention whatsoever of these restrictions being limited to certain times of the year. Gotcha, Virginia. Stay out of those buildings as well. 8, firearm ownership restricted for certain misdemeanor offenses. Senate Bill 160 is expanding the federal prohibition on firearms possession by those convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence against a spouse to include intimate partners. Virginia would join 24 other states that have closed the so-called boyfriend loophole. Don't you love that one? And that's according to Everytown for Gun Safety Support Fund. Number 9, young adults may not possess surrendered firearms. Senate Bill 38, requiring the subjects of restraining orders to transfer their firearms, which they are prohibited from keeping, to those at least 21 years of age and who do not live with them. They don't consider you an adult in Virginia at 18, apparently. Not as restrictive as California laws, which require the subject of restraining orders to turn their firearms into local law enforcement or sell them to licensed gun dealers, but Californicated nonetheless. Number 10, firearm storage requirements. Senate Bill 348, requiring gun owners living with children to store their firearms in storage devices with a combination lock, coded lock, or biometric lock. The bill has introduced would have required your loaded firearms to be stored in biometric storage devices specifically, which cost $100. Now they've changed that to what we just mentioned, which is number 10. Here's what's soon to be passed, and this is Senate Bill 749, outlawing the sale of assault firearms, which the latest version of the bill defines as a semi-automatic rifle or pistol with a fixed magazine capacity in excess of 15 rounds. This would effectively outlaw the sale of popular firearms like the AR-15, of course, AR-15 style rifles for which 30-round magazines are standard. And another example, the SIG P365 is a great example because it holds up to 21-round magazine. The bill would also ban the sale of magazines that hold more than 15 rounds, and it was already passed by the Virginia Senate after a party line vote just 3 days ago on Monday. So Senator Saddam Salim wrote SB 749 as his quote-unquote answer to the gun violence epidemic, citing the mass shooting of 32 people in Virginia at Virginia Tech in 2007 and of 12 people at Virginia Beach in 2019. There were 475 gun homicides in Virginia in 2023, according to the most recent data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is a little over half the number of car fatalities that year. Salim has not advanced legislation to restrict access to assault vehicles, though. Only assault firearms, not pickup trucks, which are disproportionately responsible for pedestrian and cyclist deaths. Number 12, the ending of open carry. Yeah, you heard that. Senate Bill 727, introduced by Michael Jones, Democrat from Richmond. Imagine that. Outlaws carrying semi-automatic rifles and or pistols whose magazines have a capacity of more than 10 rounds in, quote, any place of whatever nature that is open to the public. Anywhere. Because everywhere is open to the public, quite frankly. The most popular pistols, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, for concealed carry, have magazine capacities in excess of 10 rounds. But you already know that. So this law would effectively require you to spend more money on a pistol that has less than 10 rounds. Spanberger has until midnight, 11:59 p.m., on April 13th to sign these bills, which she is going to do. Now, again, there may be more. There's still 2 more days. Guarantee you the Democrats are clamoring for more. We're going to have to wait and see what happens when the legislative session adjourns on the 14th. She can also allow these bills to become law by not signing the bills, and they'll just automatically become law. But she will sign them because she campaigned on all of this and campaigned on more. Guys, elections have consequences. This is the Californication of Virginia. If you live in Virginia, it sucks for you. Again, elections have consequences. If you don't live in Virginia, you need to be paying very careful attention to what's happening in Virginia, because if the Democrats gain control of both houses of Congress and the White House, this is what they have in store for you. Yes, they're coming for your guns. Guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, follow the podcast. Follow me on X at AARMark. Follow me over on Facebook, Armed American Radio, Rumble, Armed American Radio, right here on YouTube. If you'd be so kind, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and make sure you ring the bell so you get notifications when these videos pop up. And I'll see each and every, and don't forget the podcast. If you're not subscribing to the podcast, as many thousands do, your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe to Armed American Radio. We appreciate you helping us take back our social media. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the radio this afternoon. Stay safe out there, guys.